Welcome to Making Sense with Meka, the podcast. The Making Sense with Meka podcast is a journey where we'll explore the truth of everyday life from my experiences and my perspective. We'll ask the hard questions in an attempt to make it all make sense. I want to welcome you to Making Sense with Meka, the podcast. Episode 2, Where Does It Hurt? Y'all, it's your girl Meka coming at you with some more self-development for the Making Sense with Meka podcast. And I just want to ask, where does it hurt? Where's the pain? And is it time for you to heal? Is it time for you to move forward? Is it time for you to let go of some things that has caused you to be stagnant in your life? It's self-evident that a healing needs to take place. When you allow certain things to take precedent in your life, are you short-tempered? Everything pisses you off. Everything upsets you. You always want to fight. You always want to cuss somebody out. Are you trying to control people? Trying to control how they perceive you or how they react to the things that you do? Are you blaming others for your circumstances, for your shortcomings? Or are you taking accountability for your life? Are you being responsible for your part in the decisions that you've made that have caused your life to go the way that it went? Are you wallowing in self-pain and self-pity, feeling bad for yourself all the time, feeling guilty for bad decisions or bad choices you made over your life? All of these are signs of a need for healing. Something in your life, something along the way happened to you to change you, to make you angry, miserable, nasty, just a nasty ass attitude. Every day you wake up, you angry, you mad about something. You can't even be grateful for being alive and seeing a new day because you are already mad before your feet hit the floor good. Are you always looking for something to be mad about? A reason to cuss somebody out or a reason to want to fight somebody? Something in you needs to be healed. Are you ready to take on the mission of healing the pain, whatever it is? Whether it began from your childhood and your parents, whether it began from a bad relationship, whether it began from a bad friendship. Some of it began from church. A lot of us have church hurt and we angry with the church. We angry with God. There are a lot of things or a lot of places that you need to be healed in your life. But that's for you to determine what needs to be healed and where it needs to be healed. But I'm here to tell you, you will not move forward in life. You will not see progress until you begin to heal those areas. Until you begin to get real with yourself and say, I was hurt. Somebody did me wrong. And I need to heal from that. A lot of times what we're waiting on to begin our healing is an apology. We're sitting around waiting for our parents, an ex-spouse, a baby daddy, a baby mama, an ex-friend to apologize for something they did to us 5 years ago. Still mad, and you might not never get that apology. That person probably don't even think they did nothing wrong. They don't even know that you hurt behind something because you've never expressed it. You've never even confronted the issue. You just feel like they should know. And even if they do know that they did something wrong to you and they were dirty in handling you, even if they do know, they still might not feel like it was wrong. They might feel somewhere in that they were justified. So you're holding up your healing. You're holding up your life and the ability to move forward in life, waiting on an apology that 9 times out of 10, you're never going to get. You know who owes you an apology? You. You do. You owe yourself an apology. Because a lot of times, things that happen to us, and I'm not talking about children, I'm talking about in our adult life. A lot of times, things that happen to us, we allow to happen, or we saw it coming, or there were red flags. So most times, the way we're feeling guilty about it is because We feel like we allowed it. We feel like we made decisions or choices in our life that either brought that person into our life or brought that situation into our life. And now we're suffering from circumstances because of those decisions and choices. And you want to blame everybody else. You want to look outside of yourself for the culprit when in all actuality it was you. It was you. And it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to make bad choices. But until you forgive yourself for that, you can't heal from it. And if you can't heal from it, you can't move on from it. Now, if something happened to you as a child, childhood trauma from your parents or a family member, and you weren't old enough or wise enough or mature enough to be able to do anything about it or to stop it, then sometimes there is a conversation that needs to be had. You need to go to your mom or your dad or your grandmother or your uncle, and you need to say, you know, when I was a kid, you did this and it hurt me. It broke a part of me, and I haven't been able to recover from that. I haven't been able to bounce back from that. And we need to talk about this. And again, there is no guarantee that that person that you confront with this information will see a problem. They might feel justified. They might feel like they didn't do anything wrong. They might feel like you're tripping. But sometimes you just need to get it off your chest, especially if you weren't old enough to feel like you were able to protect yourself. And then once you release it, you gotta let it go. Peace and pain cannot reside together. One of them has to go. Do you want peace in your life? Then you have to heal from the things that have broken you. The trauma, the damage, the negative words that were spoken over your life. Things that you're still carrying around in your mind that happened to you 10 years ago. And you haven't been able to release that. You haven't been able to let go from that. In not letting go, you've actually become stuck. Like, you're stuck in that same place. You're stuck in that same mindset because you're still holding on to that pain. You keep replaying that story. You had an argument with your girlfriend 8 years ago, and you keep replaying the argument in your head like, I should have said this to her. I should have said that to her. I should have cussed her out. I should have slapped her. I should have did this. And you still replaying that moment, and you can't let it go. You're stuck 8 years behind. You have to release that pain, and you have to heal yourself from it. Healing is not easy. It's a difficult road. A lot of people don't want to face it. So we find other ways to deal with healing. Most times people self-medicate. They drink, they take pills, they eat. My biggest problem has always been food. It's my comfort. And that's not for just when bad things happen. It's when good things happen. If I'm excited, I want to eat. If I'm sad, I want to eat. When I'm depressed, I want to eat. When I'm angry, I want to eat. So that's part of my addiction. I know that. I try my best to manage it. However, it's something in me that needs to be healed for me to be able to release that. And I started it at a very young age. And most people don't know this about myself. I was probably 8 years old, and my family moved to a new city. We moved to Chicago, Illinois from Atlanta, Georgia. And we didn't have very much family there. We had some family there, but they didn't live where we live, like in the suburbs. My family lived further in the city, so they probably like 45 minutes to like an hour away. And when we moved there, it was because my father took a better job, a better promotion. And initially, my mom was still a stay-at-home mom. It came a time where she found a part-time job, and a neighbor, they lived a couple of blocks over, but same neighborhood. A neighbor's older sister was a babysitter, and she took advantage of me. She touched me like you're not supposed to touch an 8-year-old child. She was 16, so now that I'm an adult, I'm pretty sure that somebody touched her, at one point in her life. But that's when the eating began. That's when the weight began. Family hadn't seen me over the summer. They came to visit, and they were like, you getting chunky, you getting chubby. And I was stuffing my face. The situation didn't last long because I somehow convinced my mother that I could watch me and my sister. I didn't need a babysitter. I didn't need anybody to keep us. I was mature enough. I knew not to answer the phone, not to answer the door, to come in the house, sit down somewhere, don't use the stove. I could use the microwave, and I could cut the TV on, and that was it. So I talked my way into convincing my mother that I'd be the babysitter. She don't need to come around here no more. Save your money, Mom, because I can do this on my own. I'm a big girl. And so I had to own that experience. I had to own the trauma that came along with that. And I had to own the fact that that's where my overeating began and my battle with my weight began. All of these things took place around the same time, and I just began to eat myself to death, basically. At one point, at my highest weight, I was 333 pounds. And I found everything was difficult to do. I had a 18-month-old little girl. I'm overweight. I can't keep up with her. 26, 27 years old, and my knees are hurting, and I'm just in a bad way. And all of this took place due to my lack of healing. Not even realizing that I needed to heal from it. It happened. I convinced my mom to take another route. My mom didn't know what happened to me at the time. And I don't blame her. She thought she was hiring a 16-year-old girl to watch her kids over the summer. I protected my little sister. It never happened to her. She wasn't touched. And we moved. Maybe like 2 years later, we moved from that city. Never seen the girl again. Don't know where she is. Don't know what happened to her life. I don't know anything about this chick now. So even though I couldn't protect myself at the time, I can't go back to her and say, you owe me an apology. I don't know where she is. I don't know what happened to her. So that's an apology I'm never going to get. I have to forgive her, and I have to forgive myself. I have to forgive myself because I didn't tell anybody. I was afraid that people would judge me or look at me like I did something wrong. And so I have to own that. And that's where my healing began. That's where I had to tell myself, you didn't do anything wrong. You were 8 years old. You were a little girl. You didn't know what she was doing. You didn't understand what was taking place. It happened to you, but that's not who you are. And once I began to heal from that, food became less important. At that point, I was already overweight. I'm still overweight. I'm still a big girl. I still like food. But I also know food is a trigger for me. I know that when I'm feeling a certain way, that the likelihood that I will overeat is real. So I have to manage that. I have to be mindful of that. And I take that serious. I've long ago forgiven myself for what happened to me. I've long ago forgiven the young teenage girl for what she did to me. That probably was done to her. But I also have to be mindful of how I let that affect my everyday life and how I choose to move forward. I found my peace with that situation. And now I'm moving forward with my life. I'm free from that. I don't replay it in my mind. I don't tell the story a lot. And I'm telling it once and for all to you all, this audience, because I'm releasing it. I'm letting it go. Anybody can know. They can at any time pick this information up and listen to it, and they can say what they want. It doesn't matter. It happened to me. It's part of my story, but it's not who I am. I'm not a victim. I'm okay, because I'm not going to allow this to define who I am or to define who I can become. I'm not going to let this hold me back. But that took some serious self-reflection. It took some forgiving. It took some accountability, as much as an 8-year-old can be accountable. And I know it wasn't my fault. Somebody out there has experienced something similar or even more traumatic, and they're blaming themselves. They think that they did something wrong. You gotta forgive yourself. That person might not never apologize for what happened to you or what they did to you. They might feel justified. How they feel and what they consider to be okay doesn't matter. It's about what you feel about yourself and what you know wasn't okay, and forgiving yourself and moving forward with your life. Because 9 times out of 10, that person's gone on and they've made up whatever choices and decisions they made in their life. You're still holding on to what happened to you. I had to cry out for the 8-year-old little girl who didn't understand what was happening to her. And I had to cry out for the fat 16-year-old who didn't understand how she lost her way with food. And now I'm in high school and people make fun of me, and I'm uncomfortable, and I'm not happy with myself physically. I had to cry out for that person. And I had to release all of that. I had to heal myself from that. That was my self-work. I had to put in the work to be okay with what happened to me. I had to put in the work to forgive, even though no one ever apologized. No one needed to apologize, because at the end of the day, I own that part of my story. So don't let an apology continue to hold you back, continue to stagnate you in life. Look at the situation for what it was, determine what happened, make a decision that this should never happen again, or this won't happen again. Take any accountability that you might have had with the situation, choice, or decision, and then forgive yourself and allow yourself to move on. Don't continue to replay it. Don't continue to even tell the story, because once you release it, you have to let it go. Repeating it only allows you to continue to live in that moment. You should be seeking out new moments and places of peace and rest and joy and happiness. But you can't get to that point because you're wallowing in what was. That's the reason why you want to fight. That's the reason why you want to eat. That's the reason why anything somebody says to you pisses you off. That's the reason why you wake up in the morning angry. Because you got something inside of you that you haven't let go of, that you haven't allowed yourself to heal from. And it sucks that people do mean things. It sucks that people do vile things to people. It sucks that the world can be a cold, hard place. But we can't allow that to stop us. We can't allow that to prevent us from being our best selves, from living our best life. And without healing those parts of us, you can't get to that. I didn't want to be broken anymore. I didn't want to overeat and be miserable anymore. I didn't want to be sick and tired anymore. I didn't want to be 27 and my knees hurt anymore. I got sick of it. Enough's enough. I need to do something to be able to move forward from this. How am I going to free myself from this? How am I going to get to who I truly want to be if I'm trapped into what happened to me at 8 years old? I had to find a way to move forward. And the only way to do that was to forgive myself and to forgive the situation and to forgive the 16-year-old. Because here I am killing myself for food, and she might be out there living her best life. So it was on me. It wasn't my mama's responsibility. It wasn't my father's responsibility. It wasn't on my friends or my spouse. I can't ask my husband to heal something that he wasn't even a part of. He didn't know me when I was 8. So I can't ask him to heal that part of me. I have to heal that part of me on my own. Because if not, then I'm going to bring those things into all of my other relationships. Into my marriage, into the relationship I have with my parents, into the relationship I have with my siblings, into the relationship that I have with myself. How do you get to self-love? How do you love yourself when you still blaming yourself for something that happened to you? And this also goes for things that we've done to people. If you've harmed somebody, if you've mistreated somebody, and you know in your spirit you did that person wrong, that you could have handled that a different way, that you didn't have to put your hands on that person, you didn't need to cuss that person out, you know in your spirit that there was a better way to handle those things, apologize to that person. Confront the issue. Because 9 times out of 10, that person took an L that wasn't even meant for them. You meant it for the person who really hurt you, but you didn't gave it to the person that didn't even deserve it. Now you didn't hurt them, and they out there hurting somebody else. If you have the opportunity to right your wrongs, do it. Because in apologizing to that person, you're healing a part of yourself. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We all have bad days. We make poor decisions. And it might not have ever been intentional. It could have all stemmed from something that happened to you before. However, as an adult, you got to be accountable for your behavior and the way that you treat others, for the way that you put yourself out there. You have to be accountable, and you have to own your shit. If you grimy and you shady and you don't want to be that way anymore, and you sick and tired of being petty and miserable, own your shit. Apologize to who you can apologize to. Forgive yourself and begin your healing. But you're never going to get to that point if you still living in chaos and enjoying it. This isn't for the people who like being petty and enjoy that shit and it makes them happy and, they thrive off of it. This ain't for you. This is for the people that's sick and tired of being sick and tired and who react in ways that they're not even happy with themselves. For them folks that don't want to be petty, tired of being miserable, tired of not taking accountability, tired of not owning this shit, it's for those people. It's for the people who want to change. It's for the people who want to move their life forward in a better direction. It's never too late. It's never too late to change how you are towards others and towards yourself. Begin to be better to yourself. Begin to love yourself from the inside out. And it's going to reflect in your relationships and how you treat people and how people approach you and how you receive love, friendship, companionship. Some of y'all out there waiting for a mate. Man, woman, husband, wife, whatever. And you wonder why it ain't came to you yet? Because you messy. Because you petty. Because you miserable. Because you don't like to take accountability. And most times, all of that is because something in you needs to be healed. Something in you needs to be taken care of, loved, and nurtured back to health. Being in pain and feeling trauma is a disease. You gotta nurture that. It's like a sore. And y'all just out here pouring peroxide and wrapping it up with a Band-Aid. Ain't healed yet. Sore still wide open. Still full of pus. Still festering. And all you do is put a little more peroxide on there. See it bubble up. You wrap it up with some damn gauze and some tape. Nah, sis. Nah, bruh. That's not going to get it. That's not going to get you to where you want to be. That's not the healing. That's the mask. That's the cover up. The reason people can't come together as one, the reason it seems like relationships aren't working out, men aren't understanding women, women aren't understanding men, everybody covered up in a bunch of scars that's wrapped up with gauze and tape. Ain't nobody healed from shit. You better start healing, because you're not going to get to your destiny. You're not going to get to that place you want to be until you do. Aren't you tired? I know that life isn't fun. I know you're tired of overeating yourself to death. I know you're tired of thinking everything is a fight and everybody disrespecting you. Everybody ain't disrespecting you. Every time somebody say something to you, it ain't in disrespect. Some folks are just curious. Some people just ask questions, or some people just, that's the way that they talk. It's not a disrespectful action every time. If everybody around you always trying you, always disrespecting you, guess what? It's you. It's you. People too busy trying to live their life. People ain't out here just trying to disrespect you just because you are who you are. No, that's you. You still upset that the bully on the playground from 5th grade, you wasn't able to knock them down. So now you out here pouring it out on other people. If you don't let that shit go, if you don't get over what happened to you, you're going to remain the kid in the 5th grade who got punked by somebody, and you still trying to get back, get revenge. Revenge is a lack of self-healing. You don't need revenge when you're healed. You only want revenge. You only seek revenge when you still bleeding from whatever cut you. And if you can't get the revenge on the person that cut you, guess what? You out here cutting other folks. And it's just a cycle of trauma. Free yourself from all of that because it's madness. It'll drive you crazy. And some of it isn't even your trauma. Some of us walking around here with the trauma from our parents, from whatever happened to your mother or your father when they was little kids, and they done spilled that over into your life. Sometimes you got to heal for generations that ain't even here no more. Sometimes you healing from shit that happened to your grandma, but you got to heal anyway. You got to find a way to heal anyway. You got to get in touch with that side of you, and you got to forgive whatever that was that grandma spilt on you, that daddy spilt on you. You got to heal from that anyway. Those people long gone. They either in heaven or hell or wherever you feel like the afterlife is for folks. And you still down here on earth suffering, in pain, and angry. You better heal. Get real with yourself. Dig deep and figure out where the pain lies and begin to heal it. And if that person isn't here anymore, if that person isn't accessible for you to say, you hurt me, and for you to possibly get an apology, then guess what? Apologize to yourself. Forgive yourself in whatever part you may have taken in it. If you didn't take any part in it, then forgive yourself for not being able to defend yourself or protect yourself. But forgive and let it go. And every time you get around a group of people or here or there, don't relive it. Let it go once and for all. Whether you have to write it down, tear it up, burn it up, or whether you just have to speak it out loud, just to release it, just to get it off your chest. Whether you got to lay in your bed, balled up like a little baby, and you got to cry tears that you don't even know where they're coming from. You don't even know where this pain began. Release it. Allow the tears to cleanse your soul. Allow the tears to cleanse your spirit so you can be free. That's the only way you're going to get to the life that you desire, is to free yourself from the past, from the hurt, the pain, the trauma. Do you deserve an apology? Probably so. Will you get it? Probably not. And if you do get it, that still doesn't mean that the apology will be enough. You still got to do your own work to say, I forgive that situation for what it was. It will no longer hold me or bind me and cause me not to move forward in my life. I am free from it. I know y'all thinking, Meka, ain't that easy. But it really is. It really is. If you can really get to the root of whatever the pain is, and you can release it in your voice or release it in your writing and say, I am free from this. It will no longer bind me. I forgive everybody that was involved, and I forgive myself. I've asked my higher power for forgiveness, and I am free from it. Then be free. Go and live your life, and go heal other folks. The only time you need to tell that story is to save somebody else. That's the only reason I'm speaking on this. Is to save somebody else. Because they needed to hear this story. Because it happened to them. Or it happened to somebody they know. And they need to share it with them. Because there's nothing I can do about that person that was. Nothing I can do about that situation that happened. But today, I'm free from it. I'm whole. And go and heal other folks. And say, I've been there. I felt that way. You're not alone. You're not the only person that has experienced this. And this is especially important when we're dealing with our youth. You know, we sit back and we watch our little cousins, our little sisters, our nephews, or little brothers. We watch them experience some of the same things that we've experienced as children, and that has broken us and damaged us. And we just sit back and we do nothing. Have you pulled up on little sis? Have you asked her, sis, what you going through? You out here, you showing out. Every time I see you with a different dude, every time I see you moving a certain type of way, have you pulled up on little bruh? Little bro, why you out here wilding? What's going on? What's happening with you? How can I help? Talk to me. As a community, as a people, we have to begin to be proactive in saving each other, in allowing safe spaces for people to come when they've been broken or hurt. Not to talk about them, not to gossip about them, not to further damage them, not to further their trauma, but to help to heal them. To let them know that they're not alone. You may have experienced some of the same things, or you know somebody who went through some of the same things. The only time you need to continue to relive your trauma is to provide somebody a testimony of what you've been through and what you've come out of. How to save themselves. How to begin to love themselves. How to begin to grow. Those are the things that our community needs. We don't need more gossip. We don't need more tearing down of each other. We need uplifting. This is where we fall short. We need uplifting of each other. The back and forth battle between the black man and the black woman, and who was at fault and who did what first, and if it wasn't for welfare, if it was, man, listen, if y'all don't leave that shit alone, because there are no real answers for that. There are no real answers for that. We have to begin to love each other and work together, because our children are suffering. Our children are missing out on important aspects of life because we can't get beyond the trauma and the pain that happened to our people 400 years ago. When are we going to begin to heal? We know where that pain started. We know where that hurt started. When are we going to begin to heal it? When are we going to say enough is enough? We're tired. Our communities, our families, our children are important. They're important. We have to begin to save lives. It's not okay to know that your nephew or your girlfriend's nephew or whoever is out here robbing and stealing and you not saying nothing. That's not okay. It's not okay to know that your niece or your cousin or a friend of yours daughter, allowing people to take advantage of her and you say nothing because you're too afraid of what her mama might say. Man, we got to stop that. If somebody can help save your daughter or save your son from what they possibly might be going through, you too worried about who talking to them? If they have good intentions and their hope or their plan is to provide a safe place for your child, to talk to them and to encourage them and to motivate them, you better let the village come through for your family. Because sometimes your kids, for whatever reason, don't always feel comfortable sharing certain things with you. Maybe your views are rigid. Or maybe they just don't feel comfortable at that point talking to you. That's something that you got to grow and mend in the relationship between you and your child. But at the same time, if there's someone else that's available and willing, don't block that person. Don't block the possibility that this person can save your child. You have people in your family. You have friendships, associations with people who have gone through some traumatic experiences and have brought themselves out, have been able to heal. Whatever tools they may have used, whatever resources they may have used, that is something that could possibly save an entire generation. Don't block that. Allow your child to heal. Allow your niece to heal. But we also got to be proactive in speaking out about it. And sometimes we have to tell our story. Sometimes we have to relive that hurt and that pain a little bit just to save somebody else. It was uncomfortable for me to talk about what I experienced at 8 years old as a child who couldn't protect herself. That wasn't fun. I don't like telling that story. Even though I'm healed from it, it's not something that I enjoy sharing with others. However, if I know that it can save one person, one child, one adult who needs healing from something similar, then it's my duty, it's my responsibility to share that part of me and to say, I've healed from it. You can too. Let me help you. Let's talk about it. Let's see what resources we can find. Let's see how we can help you get over it too, because I see greatness in you. I see that you can be great and that you can be victorious. You do not have to be a victim. It's our responsibility as a community to love and protect one another, to heal. Healing is not easy. Do it anyway. Heal anyway. It's the Making Sense with Meka podcast, y'all. All right, y'all, we've come to the Ask Meka segment of the podcast. And the question we received for this week was, Meka, what's a real friend? And I want to start off by saying that real friendship is reciprocation. Real friends check on each other. Real friends mind picking up the phone, sending a text or an email. It's reciprocated. You don't feel like you're always the one putting in the work to maintain the friendship. It's not necessary for real friends, for true friends, to always link up. Y'all don't always have to talk every day. Y'all don't have to do brunch every Sunday to be considered real friends. But when you do link up, or when y'all do talk and, have brunch or dinner or hang out, the vibes are positive. The vibes are strong. It doesn't feel forced. Sometimes we have these friendships from our youth and we just maintain them because that's somebody I've known for a long time. And you realize that truly you and that person have grown apart. And now the relationship seems forced or it seems one sided. Sometimes we grow out of relationships. It doesn't mean that person was never a real friend or a true friend. It just means that we've outgrown each other. I have lived in a lot of different places and I have friends from probably every stage of my life. I have friends from third grade, and then I have my best friend that I've been friends with for the past 33 years. And we don't talk every day. We don't see each other, every weekend or once a month. Sometimes we only see each other once a year. But when we do, it's a good time. The vibes are positive. The support, the love, the motivation, the inspiration, it's all there for each other. Not just her giving it to me or me giving it to her. It's mutual. The respect is mutual. And our friendship is 100% honest. We can be true and honest with each other. If she tells me about a relationship or a situation she's going through, I can give her my honest opinion and vice versa. And there's no hard feelings at the end of that conversation. That person has your best interest at heart and they're just telling you how they see it. And you respect their perspective. Real friends are always there when you need them the most. In your darkest hour, they're there for your support. Real friends drop things for each other. If it's a situation and my friend needs me and, she just happens to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to pick up the phone. If I hear it ringing, that's my friend. You make sacrifices for friends. You go out of your way for friendship. But if it's not reciprocated, then you've either outgrown the friendship or they were never true friends to begin with. There's no real measuring stick, but you have to follow your intuition and your gut. If it feels like the situation is now being forced, like you calling them, trying to link up all the time and they ain't never got time for you. And then when they finally say, well, girl, I guess I'll meet you this weekend, or, what I'm saying? Like, I guess we can hang out. It almost feels like you're forcing that person to be your friend. And the other thing that kills me about people in friendship is they try to make it seem like friendship is about economics. Friendship is never about money. It shouldn't be about gifts or what somebody can buy you. It shouldn't be about, if they're taking you out to dinner, on a frequent basis. That's not friendship. I've never had to buy a friend. My love and my support and my encouragement, that's my value in a friendship. And that's what I look for in my friends. I don't care if we never go out to eat together. If every time we link up, we cooking at the house. As long as we have a good time, we're positive, we're motivating each other, our spirits are high when we're together, we can laugh about the past and encourage each other about the future. That's real, true friendship. That's the friendship that you cherish and that you just don't let, go to the wayside. You can have a relationship, you can have another life and still maintain your friendships. People act like it's so hard to be in a relationship and still, check on their friends or send a text or, pick up the phone. If that person crosses your mind, stop what you're doing. Pick up the phone and check on them. And hopefully that friend will reciprocate the same vibe. It has a lot to do with energy and the energy that you feel when you're around someone, whether it's energizing you or draining you. The people that you hang with, that's all they ever bring to the table is somebody else's business, or they're always negative. They got concerns or issues, and every time you give them a solution, all they got is another problem. People that just don't want to be encouraged or don't want to be happy. Sometimes you got to let those friendships die. Sometimes you have to let those friendships go, and you have to hang on to the ones that energize you, that make you excited. When you call that person, you know you're going to get some great advice or a good word of encouragement, something to carry you through the week. Those are the friendships you cherish. Friends are important. I don't know, this new generation try to make it seem like, friendship is not a big deal or you can't have no loyal friend. Friendship is important. You should have friends. You should have people that you can call and talk to and get a different perspective, that encourage and support you. You need your friends, but you also need to realize and prioritize your friendships and the value that they bring to your life. And if a friendship is not bringing any value or no longer bringing any value, it's time to cut it loose. All right, y'all, that was the Ask Meka segment of the podcast. And every time we post a new podcast, we will have an Ask Meka segment at the end. Go ahead and please get your emails over to askmeka.mswm@gmail.com. And you never know, you might be featured in the next podcast. Peace.